I'm excited to share this formula with you. So you've done math training, whether you like math training or you hate it, this formula is going to help you. I knocked 2 minutes off my 5k time in a year. So let's crack on. So what am I calling this formula? We're calling it Mathmax, taken from inspiration from the Mad Max films. Not my idea, my daughter's and my wife's, but I quite love it, to be honest. So before we get into what is this formula that knocked 2 minutes off my 5k time, let's talk about the pros and the cons of math training first. So we all know, or we think we know, what the pros are. Well, math training is obviously keeping you running in an easy pace. It's going to help supposedly avoid injury, and it's going to get you to build that aerobic engine, which is important for most races, and you can, as I say, build your mileage. But it does come with negatives, and the negatives that I believe it comes with, and some others are mentioned, is could be injuries, and it could be obviously lack of speed. So math training you typically only do for a few months, could be 6 months, could be a year, some people are doing it. But if you do it for that period of time, you will find that you're actually going to plateau, and you won't be you won't be getting quicker, and you may be picking up injuries. Because the thing is that when you're running at your so-called math pace, is that you tend to be sitting more on your heels. Also you're running slower, you're holding back, and you find a lot of people doing the math training may pick up little niggles like knee injuries, Achilles injuries, and when they're trying to transition into faster work, because where do you go after math? You've got to introduce speed, and then as soon as they introduce the speed, they're picking up Achilles injuries, because obviously the Achilles has not been stretched, you've not been running your toes. They're picking up other injuries because you're completely changing your running form again. I found with math training that when I first started it, it wasn't comfortable, my body was hurting, but after doing it obviously for a period of time, I learned to kind of adapt my style so it was more comfortable. So it worked for me, but I took my own version of it, what I like to call now Mathmax. It does sound quite good, doesn't it? So Mathmax, what is Mathmax? Well, with the formula that you've been doing with math training, you're 180 minus your age, plus a few bits here and there, depending if you've been injured, blah, blah, blah. This is taking the math part of it and still incorporating that into your training. So 80% of your runs are going to be still at the Maffetone pace, but 20% of your runs are going to be faster. So you're saying, well, that's just 80-20 training. Yes, it is 80-20 training, but where people come unstuck on the 80-20, so 80% easy, 20% faster, is that their easy runs are not necessarily easy. So they might say, okay, well, I got my easy pace from a training calculator, that's my easy pace. Well, yes, it is, but that every day is different. From one day to the next, your heart rate could vary by 5-10 beats, depending on stress, fatigue, illness, weather conditions, terrain. And so if you're constantly running at 7:30 pace, and each one of them factors comes into play, then you're going to tentatively be overtraining, and when you go to do your faster stuff, you're going to be fatigued, and you're going to suffer, and then potentially pick up injuries. So the way this works is that you are keeping your easy runs easy because you're running at your Maffetone pace. And so the most important thing about this is to get yourself a chest monitor. I say without a chest monitor, watches are okay. My Garmin 3.5 works, I'd say probably about 85% of the time, and it does match up when it's working with my chest monitor. They're not expensive. I got mine for 20 quid off of eBay. Does the job. You don't have to spend lots of money, but I think it's important. And then once you've got this, so you're saying, well, okay, so I've come out of the math training, I want to incorporate speed. So you're incorporating the speed, but you want to drip feed it, because as soon as you chuck yourself into 20%, then you're going to injure yourself because your Achilles are going to struggle, knees, etc. So this where you start off 90, 10. So you start off where your speed sessions, let's say we start off just throwing in some strides. So it might, might be even smaller percentage. So throw in some strides at the end of your easy runs a couple of times a week, concentrating on form, running at an 800 meter pace. Have a break in between to get your breath back so that you're running, quality strides. Then as you progress and you get a bit more used to the speed, you're going to introduce tempo runs. So you do that for obviously a period of time until your body gets used to it. And then we go to threshold runs, which is obviously pushing you a little bit further. And then after that, you can add intervals at the track. So as long as you do it slowly, then your body's going to be, adapting from your math training and, running on your heels and your form, blah, blah, blah. And you will be able to progress safer. So I did this and proved it, and within a year I went my first sub 20 at 45 years old to a sub 18, and all I was doing was 80-20 training, but on my easy runs, making sure they're easy, running a heart rate, not just on your so-called easy pace, because you could, I guarantee, take your heart rate monitor off, go for a run and go for what you think is easy pace. I guarantee you'll probably be 10-15 beats per minute out. So all these videos that I've been doing have been kind of leading to this. Well, I thought the tree was going to fall down. I've been leading to this, where once you know what your easy pace is, once you know what your tempo pace is, once you know what your threshold pace is, as in heart rate, then you can train and dial it in at all these different zones. Where some of you will be saying, well, my watch can do that. The problem is with watches is that, one, they take time to work out the data, and yes, I would say your aerobic zone, your watch is pretty accurate, but the others not so, because they just come under threshold. They don't mention anything about tempo. So once you know your heart rates, like mine's 135, 155 and 168 beats per minute, when I'm running I can train at those zones and I'm getting a quality session. If I'm going on a tempo run, I'm training at that given pace. And if I'm in a race and I see my heart rate, pushing much above my threshold, say 170, I know there's not much more in the tank and I'm going to burn out if I go a lot quicker than that. So I think it's important, going forward, just running, when you go for a run, just have the heart rate screen on, and you will find you enjoy running more. That it's demotivating when you go out and you're supposed to be running on your easy run, so-called, this a certain pace, and then every run, you're faster, slower, and it just demotivates you. But if you're running on a heart rate, and all we're seeing is that heart rate screen, you're putting in the effort that you should be doing. So I want you to share this formula. We're going to call it Mathmax or Math 80-20. Share it with your running buddies. I guarantee that in 2 months you will be surprised of, one, how much you've knocked off your 5k time, and two, how, like myself, managed to stay injury free. And then once you've done this, I guarantee that you won't want to share it, because you want to keep it to yourself. Because I say this formula has changed my running. I say I was constantly injured, and now that's why I wanted to share it with you guys, because I want you to be able to, be able to run every day if you can. Well, not every day, have some days off, but you know what I mean. But just be able to run injury free, enjoying your running, not getting stressed out, not getting injured, and come, as I say, come race day, when all the races are back, we're going to be smashing our PBs, and it's going to be such a great time. So I honestly can't wait. So if you have any questions, drop them in the comments. I like to come back to everyone. I like to be transparent. What I say is what I do. So please share this with your running buddies. Please like, comment, do all that stuff, and I will speak to you soon. on the onwards and upwards. Cheers.